I think everyone that is a fan of AI knows who he is, and this is Mr. TOUFI, the one with the amber hair. He is the CEO of Todalarity. So I shall let you guys take this fireside chat away and let the video do you more justice. Please give.
All right, so welcome everyone, and this is an interesting opportunity for TOUFI and I to share with you some of the ideas we've been brainstorming on recently regarding the future of decentralized AI and the importance of decentralization for AI and the importance of AI for decentralization, really. And we've been independently acting in these spaces for quite some time, and we've also recently begun
we converged.
a collaboration between my work on the SingularityNET and the OpenCog side and his work with the Toda protocol and its various associated entities and projects. So it's going to be interesting to get across in 20 minutes or so each of these projects we've been nursing along separately, and then how these can come together to accelerate the progress toward really, really smart decentralized AI networks even further. So I think it would make sense. TOUFI can start out briefly, just to put a bit about yourself and a bit about Toda, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and I'll tell a bit about SingularityNET, and then we can launch into the connections.
Sure. Full disclosure first. For folks that are watching this on video, you're able to do that live. If you were to search blockchain, AI, decentralized, IoTs, and quantum, you're likely to find 99% of scams. And this is extremely important. So if you were to find 1,000 documents out there, 990, they're going to be scams. The remaining 10, they're not going to be scams. They're going to be real companies trying to do something, and real companies trying to do something, they have the ratio of 1 out of 10 to succeed. The job of each and the reason why you're here is not to find that 99%, it's to find the 1%. Now, as much as subjective as it seems, I've searched for so long, and I feel that I found my 1%, and that's why I'm doing partnership with this guy. So full disclosure, we do have partnership together. It's called Todalarity, and we're working on a lot of cool things together. And I'd like to get this out because in every single event that I speak in, I try not to associate with any company that that I'm working with. This specific time, we have a lot of things together. We started something called the DIA Foundation, which I'm president of about 1 year and 4 months ago. We have 63 companies in the DIA Foundation. This is not for profit. It's something that him and I were the only people that spend money on this thing, and we don't have any plans on making money on it yet. However, we have something else called Todalarity. It's totally focused on making money. So that's my full disclosure. I want to make sure that we get this out. And when we say that we're building business that it's intended to make money, we really mean it, and we're not hiding anything. So my background a bit, I've been building startups all my life. I've built 15 startups in my life before getting into Toda. 11 of them failed, 3 of them succeeded. 4th became an Intel company, which hasn't succeeded yet, I guess. There's always those that they linger for so long, and that's one of them. Became an Intel company, yet we haven't really exited yet. Long story short, it's a fascinating company, so it might end up getting great exit, and I hope it does. Many of the companies, they're in AI, cryptography, touching a little bit on both. I get into what crypto means, cryptography, on September 22nd, 2001. So the only other person in this entire event who's older than me in this, his name is David Chaum. I heard he's here. I'm not sure if he's really. So rarely I get into events that people been in this longer than I have. Why am I in it? I'm not in it for short term. I'm in it to truly add value to humanity, to really create a new pie that we can all benefit from, and not to take a piece of existing pies. With the current Toda protocol, which I'm author of, Toda takes it to the network level, peer-to-peer value exchange at the network level. It sounds too good to be true, but 2 years ago, there were 3 people working on Toda. Today, there's over 220 people working on Toda. 0 funding we raised on the Toda protocol, but many of the companies are building on it. They raise their own funding. The one thing that we know with 100% certainty, which we welcome each and every one of you to dig deep, not a single person can explain Toda that is not working on Toda. That says a lot. A lot of folks attempted to hire biostitutes to discredit a lot of the things that we work on, but the reality they realize after the fact that there can be a lot more money to be made by finding that 1%. So we feel that we found it 1%, we started working together, and we're here to talk about the necessity of decentralized governance, the autonomous decentralized governance. By the time you leave this room, each and every one of you are going to realize that what we're building is truly profitable business to do it in a decentralized way. So this is not like, oh, hey, let's just make the world a better place. Let's just work, make sure that the bears are going to better live or whatnot. We don't believe in just doing altruism alone. So we do have a phenomenal agenda. So far, it's working really well. So we're hoping we can get to transmit that message.
Fantastic. Yeah, so let me explain how I came into this collaboration, and then we can describe how all the pieces fit together. So I've been in the AI space for 30 plus years, and both working on general intelligence research and development, for example, with the OpenCog AGI platform, and as well applying AI across many different vertical markets for various companies and government agencies. And, these are amazing times to be doing artificial intelligence. I mean, much more so each year that passes, right? I mean, so many of the ideas that we've been developing in the AI field for decades are now coming to fruition due to having more data, more processing power, and more sophistication in the math and algorithms. And it's amazing in terms of being able to solve problems in AI for the better of mankind. We've been working on AI in agriculture, in medicine, in finance, supply chain, automating mathematics, all over the map. It's also a bit sobering in that what we're seeing in the AI industry is a concentration of AI resources in a few powerful companies. And maybe a dozen companies allied with a couple large governments are controlling a huge amount of the AI processing power in the world, hiring a lot of the AI developers, stockpiling the data used to train AI. So we founded SingularityNET in 2017 in order to both democratize the development and rollout of AI by putting the world's AI agents in a decentralized platform owned by everyone and no one, and then also to accelerate the progress toward beneficial general intelligence, because I believe the best path to building AGI, artificial general intelligence, that can generalize, reason, and abstract like people, is going to be by creating a whole bunch of different AI agents that are heterogeneous in nature, but yet can cooperate together as a sort of AI society of minds, where the intelligence in the whole exceeds the sum of the intelligences of the parts. So SingularityNet is designed as a decentralized network by which anyone in the world can put an AI into the platform, advertise what APIs it can fulfill, and then anyone who needs AI services can put a request into the platform. But the AIs can also talk to each other, outsource work to each other, cooperate, share data and insights with each other, so that each one can provide to its customers not only its intelligence, but the intelligence it gets from the other AIs that it's talking to. And so we we launched the beta version of this SingularityNet platform this year. We're launching more and more advanced versions all the time. We'll have an interesting announcement in my keynote tomorrow regarding some new functions added into the platform that I believe are going to accelerate the adoption considerably. Now, on the blockchain side, honestly, most of the work or a lot of the work in designing the SingularityNet platform was working around the limitations of current blockchains, because Ethereum, while a lot of fun to script for because the Solidity scripting language is powerful and easy to use, Ethereum is also sort of a slow, erratic, and awkward network to be running portions of your AI network on at this point in time. So the SingularityNet platform design is really an exercise in how to set up a whole bunch of side channels to minimize how often you actually have to use Ethereum so that the thing can actually work. And still, while the current SingularityNet implementation on Ethereum it's adequate for what we need to do now, where mostly a customer is establishing a sort of subscription relationship with an AI agent that will last a while. So you really only use the blockchain when you're establishing the relationship with a new AI agent for the first time. If you really want a very dynamic microservices architecture, where in the course of answering one user query or performing one act of reasoning, an AI agent, creates 10 other AI agents which talk to 100 other AI agents in the course of 1 second in answering a question. I mean, you can't do that using everything on the Ethereum blockchain right now. It's much too slow. So while we're using Ethereum just fine to deliver commercial services and work toward AGI in the current state of SingularityNet, we also know that we need to go way beyond the current state of what our underlying Ethereum blockchain can do to realize the full vision of SingularityNet. Now, the Ethereum team, of course, is working on making Ethereum better and better, faster and faster, more and more scalable. And I hope they succeed as fast as possible and as well as possible. But I also began poking around for various alternatives just in case that doesn't happen. And then I happened upon the Toda protocol. And I'd known TOUFI for a while because we'd been working together in the decentralized AI space, and we co-founded the Decentralized AI Alliance along with Simone Giacomelli, which is an industry organization pulling together 60-something different projects working on decentralized AI in various forms. But in spite of having a lot of respect for TOUFI and his general thinking, it actually took me a while to understand what the hell the Toda.Network and protocol was all about. Not that it's even that hard on a technical level, just the public presentation took me a little while to plunge into. And once I finally understood it, I was like, well, this is fantastic. Like, this is a way to do secure, decentralized messaging. It's like secure TCP/IP almost, where verification and validation are done in a decentralized way using a network of participants, but you don't have a replicated ledger, which slows everything down. If you want a ledger, you can put it on top, right? So seeing that the decentralized protocol in the Toda.Network really resolved a bunch of problems that Ethereum and other more mainstream crypto protocols and networks hadn't resolved, we started embarking on a deeper collaboration, really. And so we're experimenting with making SingularityNet potentially multi-chain, where you could have a portion on Toda, a portion on Ethereum, potentially some on other blockchains, and then we're also looking at other ways of bringing together what SingularityNet and Toda can do, including a product accelerator called Todalarity, which TOUFI can tell you about.
Yeah, I mean, so Todalarity is the name of it. So before I get to jump into this, I asked the audience a question, which I did in Futurist, and the first time we talked about this was in Futurist event. So one thing we know for sure, and I'm hoping each and every one of you know, that this device has a lot of AI already. In 10 years, this device is going to have 8 billion times more than your own intelligence. You might debate that fact. You might say, oh, it's not going to be 10 years, maybe 20, 30 years. That moment is coming. But will this device look like this, or will it be a pill that you take every Friday?
Yeah, it may be a smart hat.
Or a smart hat, that's right. So,
or it may just be injected directly in your skull, but it's probably going to be smarter than you are.
So the pill that you take every Friday, it's basically got all the AI elements that is being built right now. There's about 500 to 600 companies that they build things that there is in your pocket. By then there'll be probably like 5,000 of those. Now, the way it's being built today, it can't be centrally controlled by a single entity. No one else is doing it differently, whether it's Facebook, Google, Tencent, and so on and so forth. Let me get a show of hands. How many of you would be comfortable taking that pill knowing that it can be controlled by a central entity? Please raise your hand. That's the response that I get. 0% of you. Now, imagine at the exact same time, there's another pill that is called the decentralized pill. What do we mean by the decentralized pill? It has the autonomous decentralized governance that no one can control but the host. No one can repurpose but the host, yourself. If you have the option, you are likely to go with the latter. And let's get a show of hands. How many of you would actually, if you have the two options, and those are the only two options, would go with a decentralized? Please raise a hand. Those that are not raising hands, you're not going to get any jobs. You have to choose one or the other, right? But I'm getting, just so for the purpose of the recording here, I'm getting about 96.3328%. I did the math. So, phenomenal response. And here's the thing. When we say that what we're building is altruistic, yet it is profitable, it is for better humanity, but it's also extremely profitable. Those 5,000 companies that are building the decentralized AIs, they're following our work. 63 of them, they're part of the DAIA. Some of them, they're here in this room. I met one of the gentlemen right here doing phenomenal work yesterday. So what we're doing is that we're setting the path towards a proper autonomous decentralized governance, so then you can build a product that has a demand. If it has a demand, therefore it's going to be profitable. Meanwhile, Facebook and Google and Tencent and so on and so forth, they're building products that nobody is going to buy. None of you are going to buy it. So yes, they are going to lose. Yes, we're going to win. So big round of applause for that, guys. Come on. To decentralizations.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm optimistic, as is TOUFI, but I'm also very aware of the magnitude of the task that we have ahead of us, and not just the two of us up here, but the AI and blockchain communities collectively, because we need to build, in essence, a whole new flavor of tech ecosystem, right? And there's many layers and many aspects to it, and the Toda protocol fills an important role as a lower layer for secure, efficient, decentralized messaging and transmission of unique objects in a decentralized, secure way. SingularityNET platform fills an important role of letting many AIs cooperate and provide services without a central controller. Then tools like the OpenCog open source AGI platform that I've been working on for more than a decade, which runs on top of OpenCog and Toda. That's one among a number of concrete AI algorithms. But then we also need a whole ecosystem of products that meet specific customer needs, leveraging all these layers underneath. And you need products that are designed with decentralization in mind, so that they can both exploit and contribute to the unique dynamics of a decentralized ecosystem. And this is where we've created, as part of this overall ecosystem, a product accelerator called Todalarity, which is intended to help inject resources of various kinds into startups that are building products on the SingularityNET and Toda platforms.
Yeah, I mean, with Todalarity, we decided to raise a micro mini fund, $10 million to inject 100,000 each and every company. We've received 13.5 million without really being active in that. There's a lot of demand in folks realizing that that is trajectory towards making the world a better place and making it very profitable. So the deployment of those, it would start in January 2020, and then it's $135,000 to ensure each and every company they have what it takes to plug into the Todalarity. And so far, we're still internally debating whether we give it exclusively to the top 50 micro VCs or not, because we want to make sure that it's also extremely profitable. So bottom line, at the end of 2020, you'll have a single place with 100 AI engines. So what we mean here is that we're not here to tell the world, hey, just the two of us, we're the smartest people in the room. No, we're here to actually gather 100 AI engines funded by some of the best ventures in the world in a single place that you can get access to and have the ability to choose which one that you want to use for your own application. So that's what we're doing with that, and it's like the marketplace that's a Singularity on Toda.
In SingularityNet, we're working with Cisco and PICC, Domino's, various large companies to get them on board the decentralized AI ecosystem. But in the end, it's not just about large enterprises, right? We need a robust startup ecosystem building on all the decentralized platforms out there. And I think we can do something a lot more interesting than Techstars and the standard tech accelerators and incubators, because we're aiming at something much more specific. What we're aiming at with Todalarity is to take, let's say, 100 startups doing promising things that use AI or provide AI, and basically help them to put their products into the decentralized ecosystem, which can be Singularity and it can be Toda. It can also be other members of the Decentralized AI Alliance. And what you need is for young or old people who have amazing new ideas related to AI. You don't want them to just be creating a startup to be acqui-hired by a big company. You want them to be creating a startup that will provide AI to anyone in the world in a way that can be creatively utilized within a decentralized platform, so they can monetize their AI without having to be acqui-hired by a big company, and their AI can get smarter and smarter by the synergy with other AIs it connects to into the decentralized network.
And that's the thing with the decentralization comes like a lot of power that folks, whether they are in Facebook or Google, they don't understand, and it's good that they don't understand, because it's an opportunity for each and every one of you. The reason why you're here in the room, you kind of understand that power that you get with it. When you have an application that you run it, let's say on Todalarity, and then somebody's using it in Venezuela, if they give us a call and say, shut it down, the answer is that we'd like to help you guys out, but we can't. That's the power of decentralization. When it's being built with autonomous decentralized governance, it's built with a certain purpose that when a user buys it, no one can stop it. Of course, the engine, they can stop it themselves if they don't want to service anymore, but it gives so much power to that engine to service in a way that make it so decentralized that the only way that you can turn it off is if the user themselves, they're not buying it, and not certain government or certain entity saying shut this down. So with that, it gets a little bit sometimes philosophical. So one of the elements that, for example, that bill that I talked about earlier, if you were to be the mayor of a city or in control of that software in a certain city, if it's centralized and you get a question from the mayor or the authority and saying the suicide rate increased, let's say from 1.6% to 1.8%. you might look like a hero if they tell you reduce that suicide rate. In fact, you can actually eliminate it completely. But do you really want to live in a world where you can eliminate the possibility for somebody to who have the ability to kill themselves? Not necessarily that I'm saying going ahead and kill yourself, but imagine you live in a world that you turn that switch off. So it gets a little bit philosophical sometimes because they're gonna make you look like a hero that you reduced death or whatnot, but that's the thing with decentralized governance that can lead into making you bend over backwards, and that takes that power away from you. With autonomous decentralized governance, it gives you a lot of power.
We're about out of time, but this example, it hits on the ethics aspect of decentralized AI. But I think we're in a favorable position here where economics and ethics are going in the same direction. And the decentralized mode of organization of AIs, it's both, in the end, better for the economics of the AI space because the concentration of AI resources in a few entities with very limited business models and modes of organization that constrict creativity, this actually isn't the best way for economic growth of the AI field, whereas decentralization can foster more diversity, which will foster more economic growth. Sure. But at the same time, the decentralization of the AI universe will prevent centralized forces from imposing, narrow and selfish moralities on the world through AI. So I think the goal of making money and the goal of doing good for the world intersect, and correctly deployed decentralization of AI can be key for both of these. And I think we're at negative 1 minute.
The time is up, and it shows that there's a question here. Can we take? Can we take? I'm asking here for. Can you take that question? Okay, good. So the question is from Gustavo. Is Gustavo still in the room? All right. So the question here says, what do you think about the crazy increasing of hash rate? I'm not sure if it's
that one's
geared
for you.
towards specifically this stock, but I mean, so the thing is about hash rate. What it's actually doing, it's something that's called the hash cache. How many of you are familiar with what hash cache is? Okay, so the hash cache is basically the ability to run the hash function to guess a certain number. So let's say that it starts with like 70 zeros or 80 zeros or whatnot. So it's just running like those numbers, and it keeps adjusting like every 2 weeks in the event of Bitcoin. And I think the gentleman who asked that question here is probably the question is more towards like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They both use that method.
One of the beauties of Toda, one of the things I liked about it as a alternative infrastructure for at least parts of SingularityNet is you don't need mining. So these issues are relevant in a different sort of way.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can't get a free lunch. You still have to do some work, but the work that you do is, given that you are dispersed geographically, there's certain elements of truth that you can provide that the machine, if it's concentrated in a certain location, cannot. So with that, you're able to distribute the work using pseudo-random function and deterministic distributed computing, and instead of the hash cache. So you still have the laws of physics that's gonna play a huge role here, because if somebody is trying to concentrate all of that in a single location, for example, what's happening here with the hash rate, you end up, let's say somebody's got 1 million machines, you end up a log of that into the system. So it's about like as if you're running 18 machines.
This gets very in-depth, doesn't it?
Yeah, we can get very technical. Whoever has technical questions, please reach out. We both can be extremely technical. We are technical.
But yeah, I think a broader point, to be very, very brief, taking off from this is, we're still in the very early stage of development of both AI and blockchain. And on the other hand, things are developing very, very quickly, right? So the technologies that seem almost final now, like Ethereum or Bitcoin, may really be left way behind within the next few years, and deep neural nets, which seem to be conquering AI, may be left way behind in the AI space within a few years.
I think Bitcoin is here to stay. I mean, Bitcoin is being
Well,
built on
gold
Toda.
is also here to stay, but as a technology,
Okay.
it may be advanced far beyond. And deep neural nets will be here to stay for face recognition and audio recognition. But as we move toward general intelligence, we'll be going way beyond. So I mean,
You can't hurt my feelings unless you say anything bad about Bitcoin.
Well, I have never sold any of my Bitcoin either. So I think as a store of value, Bitcoin will continue. But as a technology, we're already going quite far beyond what's in the Bitcoin code base at this point in
I
time.
think that can morph and evolve into all of the stuff that we're working on as well, and we can see it happening. So
Absolutely, but I think what we're looking at in building a decentralized AI ecosystem is how to build an ecosystem that will work not only for the technologies we have now, but for all the ones that are going to be built and will be revolutionary during the next few years. And we'd like to invite everyone here to participate in developing this next stage of the decentralized AI ecosystem. So thanks for listening, everyone.
thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. SALIBA and Dr. Ben.